What's going on, guys? Blunkuts here. I am doing a Watch Our Realms video for you today, and it is late on Saturday night. I am trying to get this in before the Nightmare faction trial closes, because that's right, that's what we're doing today. We are going to be doing some Nightmare faction trial. I'm going to take you through the team that I use to get through stage 12. You can use the same strategy on 10 and 11, so it should be pertinent there as well. The one thing I will say, unfortunately, I don't really have a lot of ranged options in the Nightmare faction. Of course, neither do you. There aren't really a lot of them. And if you don't have Hatsa, you are at a serious disadvantage. I do think that if you had Navras, you could make it work. It's not going to be as straightforward. And I don't have Navras, as you can see. He's only 4-star on my account. I don't really have the resources right now to bring him up. Otherwise, I would do it. But I am going to show you what has worked for me with Hatsa, and I'm going to show you a couple things in there. And you can plug in Navras instead and see if you can't make it work that way. If you do have a similar composition, I think it could work for you. So definitely something to keep in mind. Other than that, really, I think Valeria is probably the most important in here. Everybody else, Valeria and Greed. Greed is really important, but everybody should have him. You get him as a free daily login, I think on like day 45 or something like that now. So you should have a copy of Greed. If you don't have him A5, he is immensely better at A5. He's great either way, but he is much better at A5. So I'd certainly recommend investing some soul stones into him if you do have the option to do that. He is one of the rarest epics in the game, and a lot of people have pulled multiple copies of many different legendaries before they even get their first Greed from a shard. So soul stones are definitely a viable option for him, and he is well worth the investment. So I definitely encourage that. Other than that, Gluttony did some work for me. You guys know the other heroes that are in this comp. They're all pretty standard. Everybody, I guess Deimos is the other one that some people may not have, but he's pretty replaceable. He's playing kind of a bit part in here. You could be using, really, Wrath could be doing the job that he's doing. Everybody should be able to get Abomination, and everybody, of course, gets their own copy of Wrath. So, and Volka as well. We're going to be moving heroes around a lot, so she is important, and you are going to want her on the team if you're doing the stage in the way that I am. But anyway, let's take a look. Hopefully I can get it for you. We're going to slow it down so I can talk at you. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to drop Volka, and I've actually got Volka in tank gear. She is really there just to take hits. I'm not depending on her for any damage. Getting some extra healing on the other heroes from Volka is pretty valuable, since there is not a healer in the Nightmare faction, which makes this much harder than it would be otherwise. The next deployment we're going to do is actually going to be Valeria, and there are some kind of specific timings that I've figured out, and I'll try to call attention to them as I'm going through here. So right here, even though Valeria's ultimate's going to come up, we are going to wait. I'm going to wait until I can deploy Hatsit, so that's going to be at when I have 12 cost over here. I'm going to deploy Hatsit, and then I'm going to hit Valeria's ultimate immediately. Timing-wise, and even if you're not dropping Hatsit, you can kind of track this yourself and hit that ultimate at 12 cost. That's going to really help you make sure that you have enough time on Valeria's ultimate to kill all of these enemies. As you can see, they're kind of going down in line, and Volka is not getting overwhelmed. If I'd waited a little bit longer, it would have been a lot harder for me to do that. So there is that. Now I'm going to despawn Valeria, and I am actually going to despawn Volka as well. Get some extra cost back so I can drop Greed over here. And then when I'm able to, there we go. I'm going to drop A-Bomb up here at the top as well. And Abomination is also in tank here. He's in a Guardian set, I believe. And I've also put a Lunacy Visor on him, so he has a little bit extra block, and he is able to you shouldn't need it ultimately, but it is there just in case things don't go right, and sometimes they don't in this stage in my experience. Like, well, the key died there. Sometimes when I do that, I don't get the kill there. I think maybe that might be an interaction with the Idril's Gaze that is on Hatsit. So I'm just going to wait over here and let this happen. Now, in the meantime, I am going to drop Deimos over here. There's going to be an enemy that comes out of this portal at the bottom of the screen. I need to get Deimos over there early so that I can get as much of his ultimate up. With Hatsit, it's not really that big a deal, but actually killing that walker is something that I felt like I did need to bring Hatsit in for. I was trying to find another solution, and I wasn't able to, and it was largely because I was having trouble killing some of these guys in the middle. That is the big problem, because to get 3 stars on this stage, you do need to bring 8 fighters. You don't have to deploy all of them, but you do need to bring 8 of them, and that means you can only have 2 other non-fighter units. So in this case, I picked Hatsit and Greta, but it means I can't bring any defenders. There aren't any healers to bring, but it really limits your options here. So that's why a lot of these timings are kind of important, and what makes this stage a little bit more challenging than a lot of the other ones that I've done so far. This one was not quite as straightforward as some of the other that we've done. I'm going to pop Deimos' ultimate, and actually I probably should have done this a little bit earlier, but I am going to despawn both Abomination and Gluttony. The reason being that they have lost some health at this point. I'm going to have enough time to wait for their respawn timer to come up, largely because Volca is reducing that respawn time. And when I redeploy them, they're going to have full health. So it's kind of a budget way to kind of heal them. It's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. I'm also going to drop Valeria down here, give her time to get her ultimate up before these enemies that are pathing right now get over to her. And as you can see, Deimos has gotten this enemy down low enough that we're going to be able to kill it with Hatsit and Greed in the middle. Probably didn't even need to get it down that low, truth be told, but that is okay. Also going to just kind of give ourselves a little bit more time here. We're going to drop down Wrath there. And if you are doing this on, I think it's stage 11, one of the requirements is that nobody can die, so I will just despawn Valeria there so she doesn't die after her ultimate. But that's you can, rather than when you know an enemy is going to die, you can always just despawn them, and that's going to put you in a better spot to meet that requirement. Because recalling the heroes that are already placed is it does not count as a death as far as the game is concerned. So definitely something to keep in mind if you're struggling with that requirement. Hopefully, looks like Volca's taking some damage there. It's going to be a little bit close. She can handle one of them, and she can self-sustain through one of them. 2 of them, she's going to kind of tick down over time. So that's part of the reason that Wrath is down there. He does help out a lot with that. One thing I should note too is, Hatsit's range on the ultimate. You can see here, the nice thing about placing her in this particular tile, like there's only 2 range tiles. There's the one that Greed's on, further towards the top of the screen, and the one at the bottom where Hatsit is. Hatsit can hit the front of both of these pathways, both of these lanes that go back to the Soul Crystal. And so her ultimate is going to clip the enemies if you can get them in that spot. So like these 2 on the top of the screen right now that are coming up towards Abomination, I'm going to be able to hit them with Hatsit once they get onto the tile that's in front of them right now. So definitely something to keep in mind. The other thing too is you can separate these 2 smaller enemies that are kind of in the back here further to the left. They are, when they're closer to one another, they increase each other's damage. So if you can separate them, that's great, but they do a lot more damage when they're together. So I want to save Abomination a little bit, and so that's why I'm dropping in my Gluttony. And Gluttony does some work. Gluttony is actually a really solid hero. See if we're going to be able to get it here. It's going to be a little bit tight. Really need to get this Hatsit ultimate back up. You can see these 2 at the bottom. I am going to use Valeria's ultimate there. So I did lose Gluttony there. So if I was doing 11, I wouldn't be able to get the requirement there. But like I was saying before, if you just keep an eye on that and try to make sure that you are trying to be mindful of whether or not something's going to die, you can always despawn them before that happens, and you'll get the same effect. So unfortunately, I only have about 56 minutes until server reset right now, so I am not going to go back and do it again. But if you are trying to replicate this and do it on 11, then that is something to certainly keep in mind. We'll see. Maybe I'm not going to be able to do this in general. I might have to do it. But anyway, this enemy in the middle is a little bit higher health than I would like, but it looks like it's going to be close, but I think we're going to get it here. So let's see. And there we go. So there you have it, guys. I'll go through the gearing at the end and just give you a little insight into why I did what I did. All right, let's take a look at the Nightmare faction here. Okay, so Valeria, she's in pretty beastly gear, if I'm being completely honest with you. She's in a Wailing Skull. It is rank 25. It does do a lot of damage. It certainly does help you out here. So I know that not all of you are going to be able to duplicate that, but if you have a lower level one, that's going to be fine too. I did this with a level 10 Wailing Skull on her originally, and I was able to get it done. It's just a little bit tighter, and you're not going to be able to kind of chew through those mobs quite as quickly as you saw me do right here. Her gear is pretty good. I would recommend Infernal Roar here. Soulbound Arcana is not really a great option here if you are moving her around a lot like I am, and if she is going to be kind of triggering that fatal hit during the ultimate, so you're going to have to despawn her. It's just you can't really build up stacks that way, so I would not recommend Soulbound Arcana for her, but this is Infernal Roar. It does a lot of damage, as you saw. I think that final AoE hit that she does in this gear, she was hitting for over 2 million on some really, really high armor enemies, so really think that Valeria is kind of key here for burning through a lot of these enemies really quickly before they are able to kill some of your tanks. But yeah, so Infernal Roar, you can see solid crit damage, about 350%. It's actually a pretty solid build. I've got about 21k attack, 385 speed, so we're down to 1.4 second attack interval. She does a lot of work, so much so, in fact, that I think this may end up being the gear that I start bringing into the single target arena. We'll see how that works. I've been struggling a lot there lately, unfortunately, so pick up my game. My AoE team and my anti-air team are pretty solid, but I am not doing well in single targets. So in any case, Hatsa is going to be up the entire time, so Soulbound Arcana is really fantastic for her. The other thing that I'll call attention to is she's got a rank 25 Idol's Gaze. Again, it doesn't have to be rank 25. Mine was not when I first beat this, but it is important that you're able to ignore a percentage of the enemy's defense, because their defense is really high. A lot of these tankier enemies there, you can go back to the video and look, but there's one point where I trigger Hatsat's ultimate and it's hitting for 5,000 a pop, and then all of a sudden I get the Idol's Gaze to go off, and that jumps to 48, 49k a pop. So it's like almost 10 times as much damage based on that. It is staggering how much this helps in situations where you've got some of these really tanky enemies. So if you have one of these, even if it's only rank 10, would certainly recommend it. It's only going to ignore 30% at rank 10, but rank 10 through rank 22, it's all 30% ignore. So it's not until you get to that final rank that you get to rank it all the way up to 25, that's when it starts ignoring more. Other than that, it's just an increasing chance as you rank it up. And if you're hitting quickly, especially with somebody like Hatsat, you are going to be able to keep that up pretty regularly. So definitely worth an investment if you've got one. Volka, I told you she was in tanky gear. She doesn't even have an artifact on, but you can see I just stacked a bunch of HP and defense. I pulled this off of one of my tanks that was wearing offset gear and just popped it on her. Nothing special here. You know, she keeps herself up because she has some heals, and we're just giving her some gear to kind of support that and help her be a little bit more self-sustaining. Abomination, I took this gear off of I think it was on Olag before. Guardian set, 117k HP, 4.5k defense. That defense could probably be a little bit higher. I'm not expecting him to do any damage in the role that he's in right now. He does have, like I said, the Lunacy Visor on, so that's going to help keep him up, but it's also going to help him block in case we've got some that slip through, so that is kind of important. There is one point where he is tanking 3 mobs at the same time, so he wouldn't be able to do that without the Lunacy Visor. Torador is not in the comp. Let's see here. I did have Kaniza in there. I don't deploy her. I'm not sure she has any gear. Yeah, she doesn't have any gear on her. She's just there to satisfy the fighter requirement, so that's just really if you're doing it for the first time and you need to get those stars. That is how you can do it. You can see I didn't deploy her. It would have still counted though. Greed is also in Soulbound Arcana. He has a really low cost ultimate. You see 300 cost. So he's going to get the Soulbound Arcana stacks up very quickly, and it really does help out. He does a lot of the damage in the comp. As you can see, decent attack. I think he's at about, 13k attack, which is not bad considering he only has 32-31 as his base attack. He's got 438 attack speed. He is overcapped on crit. And he's got 300 crit damage. So he does solid damage. Honestly, if I was going to make him more effective, I probably would have put him in a little more attack. He does have a rank 25 Tear of Twilight. I'm just going to say I feel like a broken record, but when I first did this, I think I had a rank 10 one on him. So you don't have to have really invested quite as much into artifact material rate as I have in order to complete this stage. It's obviously it's going to help, but it's not necessary. You can still do it. It's going to be a little bit tighter. My Gluttony, you see, they don't all have OP artifacts. Rank 10 Flux Pendant that I think I didn't have a suitable artifact for him, so I just popped that on him. So I guess it helped a little bit, 12% crit. I don't know that he was actually down below 50% at any point during the fight, but in any case, it worked out, so we're fine. But you can see I have tried to kind of keep some better HP percent pieces with damage stats on them, thinking that eventually I would do something like this with Gluttony. So he does have about 86k total attack, or total HP, but effectively total attack. He's got 313% crit damage, 92% crit rate, and decent attack speed at 399 with 1.4 second attack intervals. So good gear. Could it be better? Yeah, it could be a lot better if it was. I guess probably Night Terror would probably be pretty good on him. Soulbound Arcana would be good if I wasn't moving around so much, but I am despawning him, so that wouldn't be ideal in this situation. But it's certainly there. Wisdom would be a solid set on him. There's definitely some better sets that work out, but I went for stats over sets, given that I just don't have that much HP percent gear that is all that offensively oriented right now. Deimos is in kind of one of my weaker Infernal Roar sets. You can see I did try to push his attack a bit. It is important that he gets higher on the attack because, like I was saying before, a lot of these enemies are really high defense. In particular, the one that he is going to be tasked with killing is really high defense, so he does need that extra attack. Even still, he's not hitting that hard. He's only got 14k attack. That is one thing that I don't love about Deimos, is that his base attack is really, really low for a fighter. I wish that was a little bit higher, but he is also phenomenal. So I'm sure if they gave him any more attack, he would probably be a little bit overpowered. You can see only 200% crit damage. He's a little under crit capped. I think I was stretched a little thin with my gear at this point, but we got it done. He did just enough. And then finally, we have got Wrath here, who is in decent gear, nothing phenomenal. He's only got 255 attack speed. That'd be nice if that was a little bit lower. 300% crit damage, 114% crit, so he's over crit cap. Maybe I should have switched some gear over from him to Deimos to crit cap Deimos, but I do have a rank 25 Watchguard's Ambition. Probably not ideal in this situation, honestly. I do like to use this artifact when I have Torador on the team because he's generating hits using the Lord bonus, extra hits with the Lord bonus, and that synergizes really well with the Watchguard's Ambition. Even still, it's not really ideal, but I don't have enough, not Crystal of Vileness, what are they called, Wailing Skulls to go around, or really enough good fighter trinkets to go around on the team when you have to bring 8 fighters. So this is what I went with, and he's not really asked to do all that much. The heavy lifting is going to be done by Valeria and Hatsoot and Greed primarily. They're the big damage dealers, and Gluttony and kind of jumps in and does some burst damage at certain points as well. But yeah, there you have it, guys. That is the team. I hope this helps you as you're trying to put this together. I like I said at the beginning, unfortunately, I didn't have another outranged option aside from Hatsoot, so I was kind of forced to do that. I do know that you can do it with Navris as well, though, so it's just going to be a little bit more challenging for you. So I wouldn't feel like you can't do it because you don't have Hatsoot, but I am lucky enough that I do have him, and that is how I was able to get it done. Maybe at some point in the future, I'll get Navris up and I will put out a version 2.0 of this so I can make this a little bit more accessible to everybody. But in any case, have a good night, guys. Good luck to you.